Hi friends, welcome to the next installment of my needle book. So in my first video I went through the making of my cover, which is now finished, and so now I'm up to making the pages that are going to go inside my needle book. So these are some of the pieces that I've pulled out to use. So these ones, the linens, the two little tray cloths that I've got, they will be complete pages in the book. I'm not going to cut them up or anything. Look at the work on this one. It's hard to tell the back from the front. Isn't that incredible? Such neat stitching. The only giveaway really is the stem stitch. That's the only giveaway that from the back to the front. And incredible. So there's that one and there's this one. That one's still neat on the back, but it's a bit easier to tell the back. Then I've got my two hankies. I've got this hanky, which I'll cut in half. Actually, I don't think I will cut the hankies in half. I was going to cut them in half because then obviously I can use them, but the material is quite thin, especially this one. This hanky material is really thin. So what I'm thinking is actually I might run in stitch this together so there's a bit more weight to it, and that also means that I've got the opportunity then to work on this piece open, so I can open it up and I can have something appliqued here, like I can have one of my EPP pieces appliqued there, and then when it's closed up have that piece there, and then you'll have that piece there. So, and then I could have something on there too, so that gives me a bit more scope then to embellish these pages. And with this one, if I keep that together, I can come in and I can, I can do a little bit of fabric collage. I can add this rose here. So I'm sort of looking at these pages as little fabric collage pieces potentially. So I was going to cut that in half because then I've got half that I can use elsewhere, but they're such lightweight fabrics. And I think actually it'd be nicer to keep them together. And of course, obviously, like you'd have potentially, that might be there. So their pages will be separated by other bits. So, and then of course I've got all of my fabrics that I pulled out. Being a patchworker, I want it to be quite patchy. So I did pull out this gingham, this pink gingham, and I was thinking I could cut this and use, and even potentially, yeah, I'm not sure whether I put some batting between it, but, or I just double it, like I'm doubling these. So essentially that's two folded in half like that to give a bit more weight, and then doing some patchwork using all my pretty bits on that, and having that as a page in the book as well. So those are my initial thinkings. So what I might do is, I think I'm just going to work on each page individually. Obviously these are already, like, that's a page and that's a page and that will be a page, so they're done. I'm not going to do anything on those, but this one and this one I will work on. So I'm going to work on them individually first, decide what I'm going to do on each one, and then I will stitch or work on the pages individually, and then I'll bring all the pages together and decide how I'm going to place them. This is such a pretty fabric. This might just be a page on its own. Look at that. This is a vintage fabric, and it's pretty much the right size. I might just need to trim it a little bit, but I think that could just be a page on its own as well. Or I could put the gingham, I could stitch that onto the gingham. Look at that. Yes, see, I could stitch that onto the gingham. It's so pretty, that fabric, look at it. And it deserves to be just on its own, I think, as a big full page. And then maybe it has something small on it. Could have a small piece of wool felt stitched onto it for some needles and a little bit of patchwork on there. Okay, so that's my ideas. So I think maybe I might start on the L page. So what I'll do is, obviously in the book it'll be like that. So then I need to decide what else I'm going to put on it. So I think we'll start with this page. I've got my EPP bits. And I do want to use the duck. I definitely want to use the duck. So I might cut the duck out. And I've got to include the strawberries somewhere as well as a definite. So definitely the duck. I really need to include that too, I think. Oh, and this duck too, play. So we've got bake, play, stitch, sew, and quack. Oh, look at that cat. Oh, and anyway. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have a bit of play around with this one, and then I'll show you how I go with it. Okay, so I am just working on one of my pages, and this is going to be my bloom page. So I loved this bloom little one from that fabric, and then so I've just gone into my little scrap bits, and this is a scrap bit of vintage sheet. It picks up the same pink colors, and I picked out these two scraps because they pull out these colors as well, and then this piece of felt which pulls out the color of here too. So I'm thinking I'll stitch this down and I'll make this a little pocket, and then obviously you can put needles in the wool felt part, and I just like how that goes all the way down. So I'll trim this bit off. On the other side of this is the L there, so you can sort of see some of that coming through to the other side, but I don't mind that. And obviously I just this won't be stitched through because I'll actually open this up and I'll stitch it through, so the stitches from that page won't come through onto here. And I don't know, I don't think I'll do anything on this page. I think I want the L to be the centerpiece, so that will be that page, or that side of the page. And then this side I'm just going to pop in my jewel star flower, and then I haven't worked out what I'm going to do on the back yet. I'm just going to start with this side. So when I stitch this down, I'll open the hanky up so that I'm just stitching through the one side, and then when I'm finished I will do a run-in stitch all the way around the whole edge, including the top, to sandwich the page all together. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this one first. Okay, so I have just done an invisible stitch on these two patches, and now I'm going to do the same thing for this one. So again, I'm just using my bottom line thread in a really neutral colour to do my invisible stitch. And I'm just doing a really tiny stitch on the front and then a bigger stitch on the back. And I like to go just in from the edge. Okay, so I have invisible stitched my little fabric patches down onto the hanky. And now what I'm going to do is blanket stitch my bloom onto the piece of felt. So I'm going to blanket stitch down the 3 sides to the felt, and then I'm going to blanket stitch just across the top edge of this, but not stitch it to here so that becomes the pocket. So I'm just using 2 strands of the Aura Floss in this minty colour. And I don't know about you, but I always struggle with the starting off of blanket stitch. I think I just never quite know how to start it off properly, so I just tend to fudge it and I seem to get it going okay. So anyway, so I'm just going to do a nice neat little blanket stitch. All the way around. Okay, so I've stitched all the way around these 3 sides. I've just stopped short up here, and I thought I'd share with you how I'm going to stitch just across the top here to make this into a pocket. So start off and come up where I finished. Now I am making this up as I go, so we'll see how my plans work. I'm going to do one more stitch there. Then I'm going to come into the corner to do my corner. Then I'm going to do one more stitch into the felt, just so that it's anchored on the corner, and so that it means that I've been able to turn the corner nice and neat. And so now what I'm going to do is not stitch through the felt, so I'm going to just come up the fabric only. I stabbed myself so bad earlier today whilst I was stitching on this project, and like I mean a full-on stab, like right into my finger. Boy, did it hurt. And it wasn't this needle, it was a thicker, sharper needle than this. Is just an embroidery needle. It was a big needle and it went deep. And yeah, I had to stop and wait for the bleeding to stop before I could keep stitching. So I'll just keep going across like this, and then I'll pause now and I'll come back to finish off. Okay, so I've done all the way across the top, and then like I did at the start here, I'm going to do the last stitch through the felt just to secure the stitches and make it a bit easier to finish off. And to finish off, I'm just going to do a stitch across. Actually, I'm going to do just another little tiny sneaky stitch there. And then we'll go down and tie it off at the back. Cat. Okay. Okay, so there we go. There's my little pocket. You could even fit your scissors in there. Could even use this pocket for my little doobies, or for a card, a needle card. There we go. So now I need to stitch that onto there. And then once I've done that, I'll decide if I'm going to do any decorative stitches here, and if I am going to add on any, where's my little, can't find them now, my little, oh here we go. Got these, got some little flower ones. That one could be cute. Could pop on a couple of them. could be cute, and then a couple of decorative stitches. So yeah, anyway, I think that's I'm really happy with that. I need to that way a little bit like that. Okay, so that's the next step. Okay, so I've finished this half of this page now, and I have stitched down the felt piece just with the running stitch. I did a little cross in each corner, a little detail, and then I attempted to do sort of like a fly stitch, decorative stitch down the edge here of this one, and then I did just popped on 2 of my little flowers there, so I think that looks really pretty, so really happy with that page. So next I am going to applique this jewel star flower on here. So to do that, this papers are still in the back of this one except for the center, so these ones I glue basted. So I'm just going to first pop out all of these papers, and then I'll be able to applique it, so you can see how easy these papers pop out. And then I just sort of finger press fold my seams back down. I would normally iron and then use something like Fix or a heat and bond iron-on sort of adhesive webbing when I'm appliquing, but for the purpose of this, since we're doing everything by hand and I'm not using anything like that, I am just going to pin it and applique it. Is that how I had it? I had it like that, didn't I? What I will do though is, so that it's easier to applique, I do just need to deal with these little flappy bits. So what I do there, and just so that all these sort of stay down a bit, I do come in and just put a bit of glue, and I just sort of press those seams back down again so that they stay nice and flat. That just helps keep them a bit neat while I'm working. And then what I do is I put a bit of glue on the end of this little ear, and then I fold that back down on itself so that I get my nice point. And then as I'm appliquing, I will sort of push with my needle that under as well. It's important if you're doing EPP and you're using shapes like jewels or diamonds that have these flaps, not to cut them, because you risk getting a hole in this point here. It's far better to fix them down on the back like that. So there you go. It's all ready now. So I will unfold my page and going to applique it on here. So I'm just going to try and get it in the center. Looks pretty good. And what I might do actually is I might just put a bit of glue, use my glue pen, just where the petals are, just to help hold it in place. Now, if you're not an EPP and you're unaware of what this glue is that I'm using, this is the Soline glue pen. It's a water-soluble pen, glue. so it's not going to leave sticky residue behind. It will wash out if you were to wash this piece, but we don't really need to worry too much about that for the application that we're doing. And I will also just pin, so I'll pin it in the center, and then I'll pin just not quite in the point, but I'll pin just down from each point. Just to hold it in place while I applique. Now I'm going to slip stitch applique, so that's an invisible applique. And then what I think I'll do is I will just do a decorative straight running stitch just out from the edge all the way around as well, as if I was quilting it. So if I was doing this on a quilt, that's potentially how I would quilt around this shape. So I'll do a decorative top stitch around just to give it a little bit extra pizzazz. Okay, so got it all in place now, so it's not going to move around on me. So again, I'm using my bottom line thread, and this color is Statue, if I haven't mentioned that already. This is probably the last little bit of stitching I'm going to do today. It's been very warm today, and I've been wanting to get out in the garden, but the garden's been in the sun, the areas that I want to work in, and it's just too hot to be out in the sun digging up weeds and doing that sort of thing. So I've been waiting until there's a bit of cloud cover that's come over now, and I've been waiting till later this afternoon to go out there and just do a little bit of weeding, because I really need to try and stay on top of the weeding. It's getting out of control again with all the rain and now the heat. So the weeds, the plants are loving it, but the weeds are loving it as well. So I need to get out and just, even if I just do half an hour of weeding, I think will be good. So it's nearly 4 o'clock, so it's probably a good time now to get out and just do a little bit of weeding. And then I want to harvest some cos lettuce for dinner tonight. I'm going to do chicken Caesar salad. So yeah, if I go out and just do a little bit, and then I'll put the sprinklers on to water the garden as well. Yeah, I think that'll be a good plan. So I'm not going to get as much gardening done today as I would have liked to. That's the tricky thing with the weather now. It gets really hot and muggy, and I just don't feel like I've got the energy to get out there and tackle the garden. I wish I'd been able to get out earlier in spring, but we've had so much rain, so that's made it hard. And then, yeah, anyway, excuses. I know I'm making excuses. So I'm just doing a slip stitch to secure this down. When I do my stitching around the outside here, I will come in and do some stitching on the inside around here as well, which will also help to secure the flower down. So now I've come to this point here where you can sort of see my folded little seam. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing it under with my needle and holding it down with my thumb at the same time, just so I can do the stitch. And I'm going to stitch right into the point and secure it down. So I'm just going to work my way all the way around like that, and I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, so I have slip stitch appliqued all the way around my jewel flower, and I've top stitched the center. So now I'm just going to do a decorative top stitch just around the outside, and I'm going to use this variegated pearl thread from Wonderful. This is 1047, really pretty pastel variegated one. So whenever I'm doing this, I tend to start on an inner corner, which is where I like to start, so that you can sort of bury the knot, you know, not out here. But our knot's going to be at the back anyway. Actually, what I will do is I want the knot to be a bit behind here, so I am going to sort of come in a bit away like that, just so that my knot's back over here, so behind the piecing. So then I am just going to top stitch, well, I'm kind of going to do a running stitch really, and I want my stitches to be as even as I can get them, but at the end of the day we're slow stitching, so I'm not too fussed if things aren't completely even. I think that's just something that adds to the charm. That. And we'll go back down the other side. Just want to make sure that you don't pull it too tight and pucker my hanky, because obviously this is it's very fine cotton hanky. And as I come into the next point, I just want to make sure I try and get that as even as I can. Okay, let me see that. So I will continue all the way around, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished. Okay, so I finished doing the top stitching. See that variegated thread all the way around. I think that looks really pretty. So that's this half of this page. So just a reminder, this is a hanky. So instead of cutting it in half, I've decided to fold it and use it as 4 pages. So you have the L is 1 page, and then you've got the bloom page, then my jewel star flower, and then I have 1 more page here to do. So I need to decide what I'm going to do on this page. I'm thinking I might just patchwork some bits and pieces on here. I do have these 2 little crocheted, oh, this is tatting again, I think these are both tatting, so I might pop one of them on. I might do another, could do another another felt panel, possibly. I might do that. So maybe a felt panel and some, maybe might use a piece of my vintage sheet fabric. That's quite pretty, I quite like that. And then I could actually maybe stitch around some of these flowers a little bit. There we go, I think I quite like that. I don't mind that the tatting is going off the felt. that's fine. Is that the right side? I think, oh, that's the right side. Like that. We could even, put it over a bit like that, so it goes a bit off the edge there. And I could come in with some little strip of something. So my phone just rudely interrupted me by coming up with a low battery, lower power mode. So I had to stop filming and start again and tell my phone to ignore that. So anyway, I think that's what I'm going to do for the back side of this page. I think that's really pretty. So I'll leave these out, or I'll leave them sort of together. And I probably will find another little scrap bit of something from my tiny scraps maybe to pop on there as well, or I'll just leave it at that. We'll see. Okay, all right, well that's me done for today, but I'll definitely be back during the week hopefully to stitch on this a little bit more and share with you the progress as we keep going. Okay, so it's quite a few weeks since I last filmed and since I last worked on my needlebook. Today is the day after Boxing Day, and I've decided to spend the day in my studio stitching. Everyone's been given strict instructions to not pester Mummy today. Mummy is having a quiet day to herself. So fortunately for me, my husband is off work for a week, so he is taking care of the kids today so that I can get some peaceful, quiet stitching in. And I decided that one of the things that I definitely wanted to work on was my needlebook. So we're back today working on the needlebook, and I've just finished stitching on, this is where I was up to. I was up to this quarter of this hanky. So I've just finished stitching on this piece of vintage sheet, and then I've stitched on this piece of wool felt, and I used a variegated thread by Shifting Sands. Robin gifted me 3 threads, so I've used this beautiful butterfly sand colour to stitch the felt on. And then I have used just another little piece of one of my quilting cottons that's come out of my Skip Around the Garden quilt, just a little scrap leftover piece, and I've invisible stitched that on, and that one, and then I've just stitched this really pretty little Suffolk puff on. So now that I've embellished these 3/4 of this beautiful fine linen hanky, what I'm now going to do is stitch along the edge here and up the top, and I'll probably stitch across here as well just to finish it off, to sort of sew these together so that they're not floppy and open. And then this now then becomes a page in my, it becomes a double page in my needlebook, so that obviously it's going to be seamed down here, but so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. So it's a really good way to use a hanky, is to sort of stitch and then stitch it together, so that it actually is then going to hide all of the threads in the back then. So all this stitching threads here, they'll all be hidden in the back because it's going to be stitched together. So I just need to decide what I'm going to use to stitch it together. I think I just want to use just a fine cotton. I don't want it to stand out too much. These are the other threads that Robin sent me, Lollipop Sand and Lighthouse Sand, and I'll put her details in the description, but you can also just screenshot that. So really beautiful. She hand dyes her threads herself, so that's those. But I'm thinking to stitch this together, that I just want to use just a simple cotton. So I've got the blue one, and then I've got this peach colour. So I'm thinking I don't mind seeing the stitching, but I don't want it to stand out. So I think I might go with the blue. And I think the blue will look really nice because it'll pick up kind of that blue in there. Or I go with, this is what I did the quilting on the front in. I think I like the blue, so I'll stitch it closed with the blue. Now I'm not going to be able to completely match these sort of edges up, which is okay, but I'll try and sort of might pin the corners together so that I can try and get them to match as evenly as I can. So I'm just doing a nice even running stitch. I'm not making my stitches too long or too short. And I'm using my milliner's, this is a milliner's 10. And this thread is the confetti thread by Wonderfil. So it's just a nice cotton thread. And I'm just weaving my needle because it's a nice long needle. I can weave myself quite a few stitches and then pull it through, which makes for nice quick stitching. So I'll keep on going like this, and then I'll come back once it has been stitched all the way around to show you how it looks. Okay, so I've now finished stitching my hanky together so that it's all closed. So it looks a bit like this. So I've got the blue running stitch all the way around. And open up to the bloom page. And I put my jewel star flower. And on the back I've got this nice piece of felt, vintage fabric and yo-yo. So I'm really happy with that. So I'm thinking this might be the first one that I open up to. So put that in there like that. So this will be the first page. And then you'll see this page, but then obviously there's going to be another page before this. So then this will be the last page that is in my book. So happy with that. So I've prepared my next page to stitch. So my next double page is going to be this lovely piece of Sue Spargo wool felt, and it is this colour, Sea Spray, really beautiful aqua colour, one of my favourite colours. And so this will be like this. So this is my strawberry page. I love strawberries. And I'm going to pop this little flower here. And then I'm going to pop this flower trim down the bottom, and it will continue around the bottom onto the other side. Then inside here, on this page, I'm going to just pop this really pretty tattered doily. I'm going to invisible stitch all of this down. So you will see just some tiny little stitches on the back, but that's okay. And then over here, I've got another piece of vintage sheet that has the stitched hem to create a pocket. So I'm going to stitch this, and what I've actually done is I've actually folded it over onto the other side so that it's a pocket on this side as well. So little double pocket there. So that's what I have got planned at this stage. Or I could put the tatting here, because this is these stitches you're going to see when they come through. So I might do the stitching first and then decide what I'm going to do on this side, because I still want to see the felt. I don't want to not see my pretty wool felt, but I don't know how I'm going to embellish this once I've stitched all this down. So I might just do this bit first. This might be the first bit that I do, and I'll do the pocket because I know that's definitely going to happen, and then I can work on what happens here and if I'm going to do anything there. So I'll work on this bit first. Look at my little stitching snack, talking about strawberries. Strawberry flavoured Freddo, my favourite Freddo. Yum. So we're having an all kinds of weather day here. It's supposed to get to 40 degrees today. And this morning when I got up, it was overcast and it was quite cool outside. I got up at about 6 o'clock this morning, and I went around and made sure the windows and doors were open to try and capture the cool air in the house. And I sat in my studio for a little bit to do some reading while I had my breakfast and morning cup of tea. And then it didn't start to get light, it started to get dark. And then I started to hear thunder. And then we had a storm rolling. So we had a nice, good drenching of rain, which is good. So the gardens had a nice, good soaking this morning to help it get through the heat today. But it got really quite dark. The storm came through around probably 7:30 with thunder and lightning and bit of wind and that sort of thing. But it was great because it means that I didn't have to go and put the sprinkler on, and it takes me an hour to sort of put the sprinkler on and move it around the various spots in the garden to water it. So I'm glad I didn't have to worry about that this morning. But at around about 9 o'clock, the sun had burnt through the clouds, and the breeze sort of, moved the storm on and the clouds on. And now it is a cloudless day, bright blue sky and sunshine, and it's just now starting to get warm, and the cool breeze is slowly changing to a warm breeze. So I'm starting to now shut up the house to try and lock the cool air in. And I haven't turned my fan on in the studio yet, but I probably will soon. But the fan's going in the main part of the house. So we've got 2 air conditioning split systems, one in our living area and one in our master bedroom. So we tend to sort of just close up the house and live in our living area, which is our sort of living kitchen area, when it gets really hot. It doesn't get too bad in the studio because we've got a split level home. I get the sun in the morning, but I sort of close my curtains to try and keep that heat from coming in through the windows. So it's not too bad. It's like I'm quite comfortable at the moment. And it's not supposed to get to 40 until sort of really like 3 p.m. And then there's a cool change supposed to come through at around sort of when the sun goes down. So sort of, I think around 7 to 8 p.m. tonight, the cool change is going to come through, and it's going to come down to, I think it said 25. I think that's what it said, 25 or 27. It's going to come down a fair bit anyway. And then tomorrow it's only supposed to get into the low 30s. So this will be our, I think, second day of 40 degree temperature for summer and in December. So, but we've had a lot of high 30s. Yesterday we were in the sort of, I think, mid to high 30s. So summer is definitely here. And I think it's here to stay for a while. We haven't had any, apart from the storm this morning, we haven't had any days of nice soaking rain or anything like that. We've had some overcast days, but not very much rain. So I don't mind the heat too much. It's the humidity that really sucks the energy out of me. So the last time we had a really hot 40 degree day, it was actually quite dry and there wasn't a lot of humidity. When you have the 40 degree days and you have really high humidity, that's just really, it just really zaps your energy. And that's when I do struggle, because I just feel like I just can't do anything, even stitch. It's just too hot. So I'm hoping it doesn't get to be like that today. Can handle it when it's more of a dry heat. So I wonder what the weather is like where you are. So you're in the northern hemisphere. Is it really cold? Have you had snow? Such a vast contrast, isn't it? Like here in Australia for Christmas, we eat, salads, and we have cold cooked prawns, and we did have a what do you call it, roast ham? Yeah, like a glazed roast ham for lunch. Tim's cousin's husband did a fantastic job. It was absolutely delicious. But we have all like cold salads, and apart from maybe the meat, nothing is cooked. And then I know, of course, all you guys that are having Christmas in winter, you're all having, baked potatoes and hot veggies and baked pies, and here we have pavlova, and everything's cold versus all your hot, delicious food. And, we're all lazing around, swimming in the pool, and I'm sure you guys are all cozying up by the fireplace. So I would love to have a winter white Christmas one year, just like I'd love to go to sort of Germany maybe and have a white Christmas and go to the Christmas markets, and that's the sort of thing that we have craft markets and stuff, but it's a bit, I don't know, I think the feel of them is different, because obviously it's warm, and yeah, but I'd love to experience a white Christmas one year, and I think that would be really fun. What am I going to do with this little tail? Should have tried to bury that. I'll have to try and bury the next one. I might just snip it as short as possible. Okay, you don't see it as much there. Okay, so that's my first piece stitched down, just with a little invisible stitch. So I'll finish stitching these pieces down and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, I'm back, and I got a little bit carried away stitching and didn't film as I stitched, so apologies for that. Just move that out of the way. But I have finished this page now, so if I open it all the way out, This one's quite simple. So I've got, this is kind of like my strawberry page, and then I've just done sort of little invisible stitch them down with, and then the little crocheted flower, and then I've just invisible stitched down this braid as well. And so I'm using again my bottom line thread to do that, and then I've stitched this pocket, this double-sided pocket down both sides, and then on, so the inside, when I open this up, you can't really see very much of that invisible stitching until you get really close to it. It blends in really nicely on the wool felt. So then I've got this little tattered doily, and I've only stitched it down in the center because I kind of like that it's a little flappy and you can sort of, you know, feel it in your fingers like that. So I've left it like that. So that's that page. Now I don't know if I'll do any more. I've got this little strawberry hexagon that I want to put on somewhere, but I don't know that I want to put it on. I mean it's a strawberry, should go on the strawberry page, I suppose, but I could put it here instead. Or it could go on this page. So this is what I've just finished doing. So I've just made a little half kind of page. I had this beautiful vintage fabric, which I'm pretty sure I got from Beck of So Be, and I love daisies. So I've got this kind of daisy-esque type fabric, and I've just stitched those two pieces of fabric together just with a running stitch. Because I really wanted to include these in here. So I've done that, and then I've got this little, it's going to be folded like that in the book. I have this little piece of offcut, and I just love on the selvage, it's got these little lambs as the selvage colours, which I just thought was so cute. So I want to stitch that onto here. So I'm thinking of, I'll have to work out in the book where I'm going to put it. So, but potentially there. And then I thought maybe the strawberry, no, I think the strawberry gets lost on there. So I'm going to stitch this little patch onto here. And then I just need to decide where in the book I want to put this strawberry. So maybe it could go here, or it could go on the inside here. Or I could put it on the strawberry page. Maybe I should just put it on the strawberry page so it's all my strawberries. Yes, since I've quite heavily worked this page, I'll put it on here, because you can put pins or needles in these two sections, and then obviously here's room for lots of pins and needles. I'm going to leave this quite plain, this part here and here. I don't think I really want to embellish that too much. Yes, okay. So we'll put it on the strawberry page. So I'll pop that there. And then in terms of the layout of the book so far, so I've got my cover, and then this is the first page. So then this goes like that. Then I'm going to put this little half page inside there like that. Then I've got this beautiful printed hanky, which I've cut in half. So I'm not going to do anything to this. I'm going to leave it like this. So I just think it's beautiful. So I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to have my wool felt page. So that's going to go like that. And then the very center of my book is going to be this gorgeous embroidered doily. It's got a slight little hole there, but look at the back. The back is just stunning. It's just as neat as the front. So I'm going to have that in the center. So then when you flick through the book, I'll have L for Leela, and turn the page, and you'll have this little half bit here, and then you're going to have the hanky, Then we've got my strawberries. And we'll have the doily. The hanky. And I'm thinking that that bit's going to go there. Then you've got my star. And then the final page. So I'm very close to finishing now. So I'm going to stitch that little patch on, stitch the strawberry on, and then I'll be up to binding, doing the stitch down the center. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so I've got all my pages laid out, and I've popped a little pin in the top and bottom here to indicate my center. I've just clipped the pages down and I'm just holding it together with some of these Riley Blake Wonder Clips, just so that nothing moves. So now I need to stitch down the center. So this is the part where I'm a bit like, ooh, not sure quite what I'm doing. So I've just got to bear in mind too that, like, I've got this shorter page here. All the other pages, apart from like this one, they are all sort of the same depth. So I was going to do what Beck does, which she does like this a little cross, and then she does her stitching. But because my pages are all kind of like a bit like this, that's not really going to work unless I started it. Yeah, I think I'm just not going to do that. So I think I'm just going to do a line of stitching all the way up. So I want to bury my knot as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of try and come between these layers of my outer part and come up where my pin is. Sorry, I might have moved off camera then, sorry. Trying to see what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, maybe just back a little bit. More. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to try and bury my knot in there and my tail. There we go. Okay. So now I have to try and stitch as straight as I can through there like that. So I'm actually going to turn it towards me, I think, while I stitch. Okay. So go straight down. Or maybe sorry, I'm just thinking maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I don't need to stitch from the edge, because I don't think Beck does she? Sometimes she'll start with, like, maybe I just do from there. So sort of from that piece edges there. What if I sort of came in about there and just stitched? It's moved down a bit. Let's just I pull that one off there. So it's not attached to there. Pull that down a little bit. There we go. Maybe I come up. Maybe I should come up further in and miss this kind of part. So let's try that. Maybe I'll try and bury my thread. And if I come up sort of right at the edge of there, and try and make sure that I'm center when I do it. Now, I'm sure you all know Beck from Sobe, but if you're not familiar with Beck from Sobe, she is one of my stitchy friends, and she has an amazing patchwork shop in Newcastle, but she's also loves to make needle books, and she's very much inspired me to make this needle book. And she has a great little series of videos where she sort of talks through her technique when she's making these needle books. So definitely, I'll link her below, but definitely if you're not already familiar with Beck, you really need to go and check out her channel and check out her needlebook sort of tutorial type videos. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is a bit of a double stitch to start. I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm going to do sort of like a small double stitch. I'm going to try and go straight down if I can, as straight as possible. So I'm just using a pearl thread for this part, and I'm going to come up pretty much exactly, and I'm going to do like a double stitch to begin with as a bit of an anchoring. I'm going to go straight back over the same stitch. It's very wonky on the back, but anyway. It's the beauty of hand stitched, right? Embrace the wonk, as Beck says in her videos. Okay, I've just popped a couple of pins just around the center area where I'm stitching, just to try and anchor this doily in place. I'm really trying to get my stitches neat on the outside as well. Okay, stitch there. I think this is this is definitely the trickiest part, stitching all the pages together down the middle and try to get nice even straight stitches. Now I'm not going to stitch through these beautiful flowers, I'm going to stitch up to them. I'm doing my stitches sort of short and sort of close together to try and make it nice and sturdy, because I do want to leave a gap. Now that means I'll have a longer stitch on this side, but I think that's okay. It'll sort of be disguised, I think. So I don't want to stitch through those beautiful flowers. And what I might do is a double stitch at that point. Again, just to anchor in there. Come up in my last stitch there. Okay. And that will help anchor all these pages together. Okay. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I can't really tell if I'm on camera while I stitch. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm going, do I really, I don't think I do want to leave a massive stitch on the front, so I'm just going to run my needle underneath there and pop up again. Out of the way. Pop up there. There we go. Okay. All right. Going good. Okay. I think I can move those 2 pins out of the way. Okay. I'm just going to turn the camera off now. You can see what I'm sort of doing, and I'm going to continue, and I'll come back and show you when I'm done. Okay, so my needlebook is finished. Yay! So I've just added this tie. I had forgotten to add this in when I was stitching my cover, so I found this. I didn't want the tie to be too big or anything like that, so I found this really sweet little yellow braid in my stash, and what I've done is I've just fixed it to the front here just with a button. So I've just stitched it through there. So that's my little tie, and it just wraps around the once. I didn't want to wrap around it twice, so that's my little tie. So then there's my front cover, and then you've got my back cover, which is my hexagon panel. And then when we open up, so we've got my little pockets here. I've left these for now, but I'm not sure if I'll leave them like that. I might unpick that stitching. We'll see how I travel with it. So then the first page, we've got the hanky that I use with the L on it. And we turn it over, we've got the little bloom patch, some little tiny crochet motifs and some decorative stitching. Then we've got a little fabric page with this beautiful, this is a modern quilting fabric, and this is a lovely vintage fabric. Then this is half of a hanky. This is actually the wrong side, and that's the right side, but much for muchness really, isn't it? So I've left that completely embellished because I really loved that hanky as it was. This is my strawberry page with my strawberries and my little flower and this trim. And then we turn over, and here is the beautiful little tattered crochet doily, oh sorry, not crochet, tattered doily. And then we've got the beautiful little tray cloth. It's just beautiful stitching on that one. And then just another page here with a little pocket here, and that pocket is also on this side. And there's the rest of that braid. And I've just left these 2 bits just as they are. The other side of the hanky. And there's the other side of that vintage fabric. And on this side I've got the cute little patch here with the little lambs for the colours, the selvage colours. That was so sweet. Then we've got my jewel star flower. And then on the other side of that, we've got this page here with the wool felt with the beautiful embroidered floss, bit of vintage sheeting, yo-yo, and another little mini patch. And then I had a lovely viewer comment that this is Armanian, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, lace. And it's quite antique and quite sought after, apparently. Yeah, a really old form of lace making. So I'm really pleased to now know that and to have that in my needle book. And of course my little hexie flower down there. So that's my needle book. I'm so happy with it. For my first needle book, I think it's just so cute. I think it's very me, and it has little elements of things that I love, and I think that really sort of symbolize who I am as a stitcher, which I think is important to incorporate into your work, because that's what makes it unique and makes it one of a kind. So just do up the little tie there. So there we go, my first needle book finished. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this 2-part little series. If you haven't watched the first half, I'll link that video in the description. Maybe go back and watch well, I should really say that at the beginning, shouldn't I? Watch that one first, but this is part 2. So thank you for joining me, and I really hope you enjoyed seeing me put together my first needle book, and I'm definitely going to make more. I've already actually got a plan for a second needle book in the works already, so watch this space. So thanks for watching and happy stitching!